This is the heartbreaking story of a North Korean spy that will move you to tears. So, the movie starts by showing us a spy named Ri Joo-Wan, whose senior tells him, "Now we will meet either as friends or as enemies. Still, try to stay alive. If you die, die a legendary death like Ri." Then the scene shifts a few years forward. Ri Joo-Wan lives a harsh life according to the officer's instructions, and while pretending to settle into society, constantly faces harassment from the neighbor's children, who throw stones at him and treat him like garbage. On the other hand, there is a simple, prosperous, and gentle woman who considers him like her own son, and everyone in the neighborhood knows him by the name Donggu. Despite being perfect in war strategy, speaking multiple languages, and being proficient with all weapons, he is tormented by his target. He is forced to behave like a foolish creature, yet he tries to fulfill his mission with complete responsibility. And every morning he continues to insert a piece of paper into his nasal passage to irritate it. As a result, mucus comes out of his nose every morning. Right then, while coming down the stairs, he falls due to his clumsiness, flashing his teeth as he falls. It is further explained that because he falls asleep, children regularly loot his shop. However, Donggu knows everything and notes the items stolen by them in their parents' account, and then falls asleep again. But just then, a lady from his own society stands in front of him. The moment Donggu makes eye contact with her system, he immediately becomes startled, as if an earthquake has occurred. After examining the lady's system, a stream of mucus starts flowing from Donggu's nose again. Seeing this, the lady walks away from Donggu and starts searching for her item. However, since she doesn't find it, she returns to Donggu once more, and while doing so, she shows her system a second time and says, "I had asked you for a cigarette." But without wasting much time, Donggu gives her a cigarette. Then the scene shifts forward, and it is shown that Donggu becomes elated as he looks at the money he has collected, because this money will help him return to his country. Donggu is known as a simple person among the local people. However, he has managed to study the habits and characteristics of all the residents of the area. Meanwhile, Donggu has a crush on a girl named Yura, who is friendly with him and even has affectionate feelings for him. She works as an account clerk in a small company. She also has a younger brother who is a high school student. He beats up Donggu and says, "Donggu, you are a foolish creature. That's why I don't do this after today, because my eyes are on my sister." After all of them leave, he meets a delivery man who knows all about Donggu's reality, and he asks Donggu, "How long have you been living here?" Donggu replies, "I have been living here for 2 years. Actually, this delivery man is also a North Korean agent who has been living as a spy for the past 16 years. The delivery man has been in enemy territory for so long that he has started forgetting who he really is, and he has also begun to doubt whether he will be able to become something worthy for his motherland." Then Donggu reminds the delivery man of his duty towards his homeland and ensures that he cannot even think of betraying his country. Then the scene shifts forward, and it is shown that Donggu gets a mission named Mission Public Thinking. To complete the mission, he must enter society and speak publicly, and while going into society, he starts thinking like a dog. Seeing him in that state, the girl he loves arrives. But seeing all of them, Donggu sits right there, disappointed. The next morning, it is revealed that Donggu smiles when he sees the girl, but she remains unreactive to the previous night's antics and walks away. Just then, her brother also sees Donggu teasing her and beats up Donggu again. He says to Donggu, "How many times should I tell you? Don't tease my sister. You are not even ready to listen to hockey." Saying this, he leaves from there. Just then, Duyok arrives there, who is the son of the woman with whom Donggu lives. Duyok considers Donggu like his stepbrother and tells Donggu, "I will tell you how to fight and save yourself from enemies." Because of his constant pestering, Donggu hits him hard on the nose and delivers an uppercut, which sends him crashing directly to the ground. But let me tell you, this was only Donggu's dream. In reality, Donggu pretends to be a fool in front of all of them. It is then further shown that the delivery man returns to Donggu and gives Donggu an envelope containing a picture of his mother, whom he hadn't seen in 11 years. But Donggu is the only link to North Korea that stops him from forgetting where he came from. After this, Donggu regularly writes a letter to his mother. Then the scene of the next day is shown, in which Donggu and Donggu's brother go to a person's house to deliver a parcel. Right there, Donggu shows signs of intrusion and suspects that something must be going wrong. Donggu feels that someone has been stationed here to conclude, and he needs to determine whether this person is a spy or not. Then, during the evening workout, that spy comes to Donggu's door. He has multicolored hair, and while sitting down, he starts tightening his shoelaces. But the moment he stands up, he starts attacking Donggu. However, Donggu is a North Korean agent. He responds to every blow face to face. Watching this fight, it looks more friendly than a fight with an enemy. After this, we are shown the North Korea Academy, which reminds us of our adolescent years because the same guy was also there at the academy with Donggu. But Donggu had questions in his mind upon seeing him because only one secret officer had been sent to this area. When Donggu asks him, he tells him, "I have been sent to find out about you, whether you are still loyal to your motherland or not." But Donggu didn't trust him, so he decided to follow him. When, in the morning, the guy with orange hair is going somewhere, Donggu starts following him, and upon arriving, he sees that he has come for an audition in which he doesn't succeed because no one can understand his language. After the audition, while talking with Donggu, he confesses that his mission is only to mingle with the crowd by pretending to be a rock star. Donggu is surprised, thinking, "Why have I been asked to play the role of a foolish person? Everyone sees me as a fool, whereas my comrades have been given such good roles to play." It is then further shown that a small child was standing at Donggu's door, knocking on it. When Donggu comes out, he asks, "What happened?" Then the boy asks for help in finding his missing brother. But at that very moment, the whole neighborhood is standing right there, and Donggu, using his skills, starts searching for the lost child. Hearing his thoughts, he concludes that he must be in some trouble. Donggu immediately leaves from there to search for him. Crossing one building, one alley at a time, he feels that the child is in this barber's shop. The moment he looks, the same child is in his shop. Seeing him, it becomes clear that this child had come to his shop for cookies, which the barber always gives him. Actually, this barber had his eyes on his mother, which is why he maintains a relationship with her children. Just then, other residents arrive at the scene and see a person dressed in strange clothes who is Donggu, and they all believed that he was the kidnapper. Rather, Donggu did this to save that barber. But somehow, Donggu manages to escape from their clutches. Hugging the child, the heroine thanks him, saying, "You saved my child." Then the scene shifts forward, and it is shown that the South Korean Special Service interrogated the North Korean spies. They discover that 16 years ago, a special squad, Squad 54, was formed, comprising the best soldiers capable of fighting. All of them were sent to infiltrate South Korea. This agency can even die for their motherland. On the other hand, the delivery man is shown coming to Donggu and telling him, "My mission is complete. After spending 16 years in South Korea, I am returning to my homeland." However, he asks Donggu for a gun because his family in North Korea was arrested while trying to flee to China. He had planned to kill some South Korean officials. By doing this, the North Korean officials will trust him and will release my family members. Donggu ordered him to remain fearless in front of his motherland and to avoid any such reckless act, saying, "This is a better way to save your family." Saying this, Donggu gives him the gun. While giving it, he tries to shoot himself, but the gun is empty. Then Donggu says to him, "You don't even know that a gun is not loaded in a precarious situation," and says, "You have also forgotten the love for your motherland after living with these people." However, Donggu's main motive was to complete his task without harming himself. Meanwhile, an unknown spy killed the North Korean prisoner who had given a lot of information about Squad 54 to the South Korean officials, as a result of which the South Korean officials decided to form a special unit to deal with Squad 54 in the evening. Donggu wrote a letter to his mother in which he admitted, "I cannot return to North Korea alive," and added it to the pile of other letters he had sent. Then it is shown that a stranger points a gun at Donggu's head. Donggu asks him, "Do you know who I am?" But he remains silent and does not answer. And Donggu asks him, "Which unit are you from?" But again, no answer comes from his side. This turned out to be the same shooter who had killed the suicide bomber a few hours ago. Then he says, "I have come to test Donggu's loyalty towards North Korea." Saying this, he runs away from there. Donggu even tries to catch him, but he doesn't get caught. Just then, the lady who shows her system calls Donggu to her side and starts having fun with him. Donggu was entertaining the lady at a hideout, and then, with tears, she told him about her difficult life. She says, "My real name is Hyun Nam. I gave birth to my first child at the age of 18, whom my parents left for someone to adopt in America. I miss him a lot." Saying this, she faints right there due to being intoxicated. Donggu drops her off at her home. Then the rock star is shown, who asks Donggu, "What happened yesterday?" Donggu replies, saying, "I don't know who that stranger was." Saying this, he begins to return home. Just then, Donggu felt that someone was following him. By dodging the follower, Donggu manages to catch him. It turns out that this stranger was Donggu's comrade, who had joined the academy as a young boy, and whose name is Jin. Jin considers Donggu his ideal, but upon seeing Donggu coming towards him, he runs away. All these spies were making Donggu restless because, for the first time in many years, he had encountered 2 other North Korean spies. Then the next morning, Donggu meets both that guy and Jin. Jin lives secretly in South Korea as a high school student. Yura's brother introduces his new friend to Donggu. Then it is shown that in the evening, when Jin was returning home from school, Donggu asks him, "What is your goal of living in South Korea?" Jin replies, telling him, "I have been sent in place of Si-Seung." Si-Seung was the delivery man's name. At that very moment, Yura is shown, with her boss seen troubling her. Just then, Donggu tells Jin, "You go beat him up." But Jin refuses to do all this and criticizes his captain, saying, "We have come to do our job, not to make families." Still, Donggu orders him and says, "Help her." Just as Jin is about to go, Yura's brother arrives there and beats him up and chases him away. It is then further shown that Donggu kidnapped Yura's boss and made him wear the same clothes Donggu was wearing. Then Donggu also takes his pictures and tells him, "If you get Yura fired from the company, I will reveal your pictures." Then the scene shifts to the next morning, where the 3 agents spend time together while also working. While working, a screaming sound is suddenly heard. This sound was from Donggu's mother, who was being forcibly taken away from her things, and they were also shouting at her. Donggu couldn't bear to see all this and, pretending again, fell down those stairs and fell right into that person. Right then, that person starts hitting Donggu vehemently and pushes his mother too. Seeing this, Donggu was about to step into the fight, but his mother stopped him and said, "Don't do this." From his mother's words, he realizes, does she know my reality? Then the scene shifts to the evening when her real son returns from work and starts shouting at his mother, saying, "You should have called me, no?" Saying this, he decides to find them. On the other hand, Jin is shown working at a petrol pump. Donggu comes to him and asks for help in rescuing his younger brother Duyok, who goes to beat them up but ends up getting beaten himself. But at that very moment, Jin arrives and takes down all the thugs one by one and repairs them thoroughly. Finally, as always, Donggu pretends to be a fool in front of his stepbrother and asks him, "What happened?" Duyok says, "I beat those thugs a lot, but in the meantime I also got some hits." And he says, "I need to be strong to take care of the family, but don't you worry, I will take care of my family till the end. You can trust me." The next morning they all sit together to eat and have fun. Meanwhile, the North Korean colonel met the minister. The minister said that they want to improve relations with South Korea, which is why all the spies in South Korea should be brought back and all the offices should be demolished. But none of them should remain alive, and they should be declared traitors to the motherland. However, the colonel told the minister that they should have the chance to die like heroes, not like traitors. The minister says, if they don't commit suicide, then the colonel interrupts and says, "I will kill them." On the other hand, Donggu is shown enjoying his carefree life, but this ends when a message of recall comes in their messenger, after which a series of terrible cases of people disappearing suddenly come throughout South Korea. Then Jin comes to Donggu. He is also confused about what is happening. It is then shown that he intends to kill Donggu because Jin believed that Donggu did not follow the orders properly, which is why they are being punished. At that very moment, the rock star also arrives and tells Jin, "Don't be a fool. I had already said no, this is their conspiracy." Saying this, a dispute breaks out among the 3 of them, and right then, a fight starts between the rock star and Jin. But Donggu stops them and points a gun at Jin, and Donggu says, "I am ready to commit suicide, but I want to know whether the North Korean government will take care of my mother or not." Meanwhile, the South Korean intelligence service was looking for the death squad of North Korean agents who had been killed on the minister's orders. However, the head of the special unit finds out that 3 agents are still alive: Donggu, Jin, and the rock star. Somehow, the South Korean chief finds Donggu. Just as he is about to point a gun at Donggu, Jin attacks the officer. Then the officer starts running away, but Jin also goes after him. The South Korean unit had captured Jin according to their plan. Right then, the delivery man is shown there, who tells Donggu, "I was hidden, but I escaped from there." It is then further shown that Donggu goes to the barber for a haircut to conceal his identity. Then he appears in front of all those people who had become the dearest of his true friends. At that very moment, he also meets Yura and says one word to her, which is wise. And right there, he meets that lady whose child is in America. Donggu gives that lady her child's address and says, "This should be enough for you. Go to America to find your child, but keep yourself somewhat covered." Then he leaves from there right away. He uses a microphone to contact the officer and the chief of the special unit. Informing the chief, Donggu says that a North Korean colonel has come to South Korea to eliminate justice. Then it is shown that Donggu suggests to the rock star that we need to go to a deserted place to avoid being killed. Right there, Jin is shown, who was captured by the South Korean agency. Jin tells the chief, "Take me with you too. I also want to save my captain from the weapons." And on the other hand, the colonel finds Donggu. The colonel tells Donggu to obey the orders that have been given. Donggu is ready to do so, but he wants to know whether the Republic will take care of his mother. However, the colonel refused to answer this and instead repeated the order. But at that very moment, a fight starts with gunfire, and the colonel kicks Donggu off the building. At that time, two boys who used to bully him came to him and said, "Are you thinking like a dog again?" and said, "You shouldn't litter here." Just as an agent is about to shoot Donggu, the rock star arrives and hits the agent with a car, and Donggu and the children get into that car and leave from there. Donggu drops off the children and comes to a deserted building with the rock star. There, he meets the delivery man whom Donggu had sent to obtain guns. The delivery man hands them a black bag. Still, it contains bricks instead of guns, and they also realize that the courier has betrayed them. He reveals his reality, saying, "I am a professor of political science at the university." Just then, the agency personnel also arrive, and a fierce fight breaks out between the two. However, the South Korean chief agency also arrives, and Jin is with them. Jin had killed many North Korean officers to save his captain. However, right there, Donggu and the rock star start fighting the officers. Then Donggu and the colonel come face to face. But because Donggu is injured, he cannot hold his ground against the colonel and falls right there. Just as the colonel is about to shoot Donggu, Jin shoots the colonel, but while injured, the colonel took a grenade out of his pocket. At that same time, the rock star sacrificed himself to save everyone. On the other hand, it is shown that Jin kept the South Korean agency at bay to save his captain. But after hearing the news of his mother's death, Donggu breaks down completely and cannot even stand up. Even after Jin tries to lift him, Donggu doesn't get up, so Jin hits him hard. Then a passbook is found from Donggu's pocket, which belonged to his other mother. He noticed that she deposited money into Donggu's account every month for his living expenses. Then Donggu misses his mother a lot and wants to go to her. At that very moment, Jin shoots the chief. In retaliation, Jin gets hit by bullets. While dying, Donggu hugs his Jin, and a hail of bullets riddles both of them. As a result, both of them fall from the roof of the building, and with this, the movie ends.